you think about having driving lessons and you put it off for maybe 10 or 20 years. So you're probably in your late 20s, maybe 30s, maybe 40s or 50s. And there's nothing wrong with having driving lessons when you're a bit older, because most people have it when they're about 17 to 20. When I took my driving lessons, I think I was about 21, 22 when I started my lessons. So there's some advantages and disadvantages of having it when you're older. So stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, click on subscribe. I'll explain what they are. Well, congratulations. You've taken that next step. You're thinking about driving lessons, or you might even started to inquire about having driving lessons with an instructor. So you need to kind of arrange that with an instructor. Now, what I'd recommend before you do anything is, you're older than 17-year-old, and I don't mean this in a bad way. You've got a few advantages, what I'll talk about in a few minutes. So you're a bit more wiser. So you could be 30, 40, 50, or even 60 upwards, and you think about having driving lessons. Get recommendations first from people who passed the driving test, or people who've been driving for the last 5 years or so. Get an instructor who's experienced, who's had about 15, 20 years experience, because they're probably going to be experienced with handling older people, because they've got the different situations that crop up. And embrace the fact that you're going to learn how to drive. Don't be afraid that the fact that you got a test centre, there could be a 17-year-old there, is probably younger than your grandson. And embrace the fact that you're going to learn a new skill, because that's why you're there. You're doing it for a reason. It could be that you've done what you wanted to do and you want to learn how to drive at this point in your life. You can afford it at this point in life, and maybe you couldn't afford it 25, 30 years earlier, and things have changed. So you're going to learn how to drive. I don't know what the reason, but there could be all sorts of reasons for it. So the pass rate for older drivers is lower than for younger drivers. I think it's because they're a bit more cautious, and the fact that there's not so many who are taking their driving test. But there also there's advantages to that. So when a learner driver understands junctions, this is an example, they come to junctions, they can't see, they understand they should be slowing down to stop and have a good observations, where a younger driver will tend to kind of quickly check, and if it looks clear, they're going to go. Where an older driver, they'll check, but then they'll make sure that it's actually safe, because they know the danger if they pull out and they get bumped. It could be serious for them because they're a bit older. So bumping a younger lad or girl, even though it's not nice, it won't affect them so much if it's at slow speeds, where a older person it could do. So they tend to be a bit more cautious on junctions, a bit more cautious on roundabouts, until they get more confident with their ability and the ability of driving the car. So, like I say, embrace the fact that you're starting a new skill. Embrace the fact that you're going to enjoy it, because you will enjoy your driving lessons. Because I encourage all my students, try and enjoy it. If you're not enjoying your driving lessons, then you need to ask yourself, why am I not enjoying it? Yeah, you're going to get nervous at the beginning before you start your lesson. But some people get excited. Also remember, especially if you're older, and I'm talking about people who are in the 50s upwards here, that you're going to be sat in the car for an hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours. So you know what it's like when you get up in the morning, you're stiff. Your bones are stiff, your muscles are achy, you need stretching. So if you're going to spend a couple of hours in a car, you need to do a bit of stretching before your lesson starts. I don't mean stretch outside when the instructor car's here. 10, 15 minutes before the instructor's due to turn up for your lesson, do a bit of light stretching, get them shoulders muscles working, your neck muscles, your back, because you're going to be sat there for a couple of hours possibly. So bear that in mind. And don't be afraid to ask the person questions who's helping you. They're there to help you. I'm sure because you're older, you're not going to be afraid to ask questions, but some people are. So I'm just reminding you, it doesn't matter what age you are, the more questions you ask, the more you're going to understand. And do your homework. Once you've picked your instructor and you come along and you're having your lessons, at the end of the lesson, set yourself goals of what you want to achieve on the next lesson with your instructor. So don't go home and set your goals at home. Set your goals with your instructor with you. So if you've done, say, your first lesson, cockpit drill and moving off and stopping, and you might have done a little bit of turning, well, the next lesson is probably going to be junctions and meeting situation when you're going around cars. So ask the instructor what's happening next so you can prepare for it. And then when you go home, do a bit of research, watch a video on that subject. Or if you've got a book, the DVSA Essential Driving Skills one, I'll put a link to it below if you want to check it out. That's quite a good book to read for anyone, no matter what age. It gives you lots of tips on driving. It gives you advice on what you should be doing on different subjects. So embrace it. If you like this video, fantastic. If you want to see more videos about older people, a bit more in depth about what can be good and bad about it, then let me know and I'll look into doing a little mini series on it. Take care, safe driving, and embrace it, enjoy it. New skill for life.